All right, so this is live in the United Kingdom, and Donald Trump has just landed at Windsor Castle in his Marine One helicopter, as you can see on your screen. The Prince and Princess of Wales will greet the US President and the First Lady Melania Trump for the official start of their second state visit to the United Kingdom. The Queen and the King will join them for a carriage procession through the Windsor estate before a fly-past and state banquet. Meanwhile, 4 people have been arrested after images of Trump and late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein are projected onto the castle. Similar images have been seen screened on the side of a van, and the van driver and operator have been arrested. So this is live in the United Kingdom. So let me tell you what will happen after this. After spending the night at the US ambassador's residence in London, US President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump will travel to Windsor. Now they're in Windsor, but they will be greeted by the Prince and the Princess of Wales. There they are. Then they will meet the King and Queen ahead of carriage procession through the Windsor estate towards the castle. And we do understand that the King has already taken his place. Let's just listen in to what is happening at Windsor Castle, where the President, Donald Trump, and First Lady Melania Trump are being received by the Princess and the Prince of Wales. So what will happen after this? The couple, that is the President and the First Lady of America, will meet the King and Queen. The Queen was reportedly unwell, but she's said to be present at Windsor Castle to receive the President and the First Lady. The Household Cavalry Mounted Regiment will escort the procession. The route will be lined with members of the British Armed Forces, and both the US and British anthems will be played. Once at the castle, a guard of honor will greet the party, who the King will invite Trump to join him in inspecting. There will also be a fly-past by UK and US F-35 military jets and the Red Arrows. Following a state lunch, the President will pay his respects to the late Queen in private before a short tour of St. George's Chapel. And later this evening, a traditional state banquet will be held at the castle, during which both the King and the President will deliver speeches. Let's talk to our correspondent Susan Teherani, who's now joining us on the phone. Susan Teherani, the President of the United States has officially begun his state visit to the United Kingdom.
That's right, Eric. As you mentioned, the President and First Lady Melania are in the United Kingdom, and this is a historic second state visit that has not happened before. They, of course, have traveled to Windsor Castle. They're welcomed by King Charles, Queen Camilla, and of course, it's a full day of pomp and pageantry. There's a mammoth security operation around the royal residence because demonstrators organized by the Stop the Trump Coalition, they were expected to take place in Windsor as well in central London. We'll see how many of those turn up, but the build-up to the visit, of course, it's important to note that was overshadowed by the dismissal of Peter Mandelson, the UK ambassador to the US, over his links to the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. But nonetheless, after this, they're going to have lunch. And today is going to be a very ceremonial day for the most part during this visit to the UK by President Trump and his First Lady.
Susan Teherani, stay with me because as I said, the state visit has already begun. On your screen is the President of the United States and the First Lady of the United States, with the Prince and the Princess of Wales and the King and the Queen of Britain. So what will happen next? The Household Cavalry Mounted Regiment will escort the procession. The route will be lined by members of the British Armed Forces, and both the US and British anthems will be played. Once at the castle, a guard of honor will greet the party, who the king will invite Trump to join in inspecting. So we are waiting for the guard of honor at the castle. There will also be a fly past by UK and US F-35 military jets and the Red Arrows. Following a state lunch, the president will pay his respects to the late Queen in private before a short tour of St. George's Chapel. And later this evening, a traditional state banquet will be held at the castle, during which both the king and president will deliver speeches. Susan, there have been 4 people who have been arrested so far after images of Trump and late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein are projected onto the castle. There was also another van driver who was arrested, where similar images were screened on the side of a van. Do you have more details on these arrests, Susan?
Yes, well, demonstrators will continue, of course. This is something that was expected. But I think Britain itself, it has been trying to sort of deal with the issue of Jeffrey Epstein, of course, with Prince Andrew being involved and making a settlement to one of his alleged accusers, just very close to the royal family. As I mentioned, you have the dismissal of Peter Middleton, the UK ambassador to the US, over his links to Jeffrey Epstein. But it's hard to imagine that the issue of Jeffrey Epstein is going to loom over this visit. There's a lot of events packed, and demonstrators will continue to show up wherever President Trump is for one reason or the other, and this is no different.
All right, so the procession has already begun, as you can see on your screen. This procession, or this route, will be lined by members of the British Armed Forces. You'll see that in a short while from now. And both the US and British anthems will be played. You'll also hear that in a short moment from now. Once at the castle, a guard of honor will greet the party, who the king will invite Trump to join him in inspecting. Remember, this is the second time that the US President Donald Trump is visiting the United Kingdom. This is his second state visit to the United Kingdom. He did have a first state visit during his first term, where he met the late Queen Elizabeth II. That was a sight to see. Now, once at the castle, like I said, a guard of honor will greet the party. There will also be a fly past by UK and US F-35 military jets and the Red Arrows. Then there will be a lunch. The president will pay his respects after the lunch to the late Queen in private before a short tour of St. George's Chapel. And later this evening, a traditional state banquet will be held at the castle, during which both the king and the president will deliver their speeches. Let's listen into this procession for a moment.